Well, it's certainly nicer inside than it is outside today. Um, so, perimeter. Yeah, we were just outside. We had a look at maybe some practical applications of where you might use this in your life. But let's dig in. We're going to learn about perimeter right now. And so, your learning goal is well, you've actually got two today, but don't be fooled. Just because you have twice as many learning goals as usual, that doesn't mean that today's lesson will be twice as long, okay? But the first goal is I can calculate the perimeter of 2D shapes. Um, and then the second goal is I can use the perimeter to calculate missing side lengths of 2D shapes. So in the first learning goal, we're going to give you all the side lengths, and you'll have to use that to calculate the perimeter. And then in the second learning goal here, you're going to have to, like, we'll give you the perimeter, and you're going to have to use that to figure out what the side lengths of our 2D shape is, okay? Um, you on this slide here, what is a perimeter? You may be asking that question. The definition for perimeter is quite simple. It's simply the distance all the way around the outside of a 2D shape. So I know even in phys ed sometimes, like we would go outside and we would ask you to run around the perimeter of the baseball diamond. And of course, the baseball diamond at the school had a chain link fence around it. And so all you had to do is run around the outside of that chain link fence, and you officially covered the perimeter of the baseball field. Okay, so that's what perimeter means. We're just going to walk you through four examples today. Now they start easy-ish, and then every example I give you is going to get a little bit more difficult for one reason or another. So if in this first example I give you, you're sitting here and you're like, oh, this is just way too easy. Well, just hang tight for about 30 seconds. Maybe closer to a minute, and then we'll hopefully bump up the level of difficulty for you. Okay. So, when you're trying to calculate the perimeter, you need to know a few things. First of all, you need to know how many sides your 2D shape has. So we're dealing with a rectangle here. It's got four sides on it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take all four of those sides and we're just going to add them together, okay? Because remember, we're just calculating the distance around the outside. And so if the distance of this rectangle, the height of it is 12, and then the width of it is 18. If we wanted to walk around the whole thing, we would have to walk 12, let's just call these meters, and then 18 meters, and then 12 meters, and then 18 meters, and then we're right back here at our starting point. So we've just got these four numbers to add together. We got 12 plus 18 plus 12 plus 18. Now, a few different things, guys, is a lot of times you can find complementary numbers or numbers that are easier to add together. So I'm just going to underline these two here. When I add 12 and 18 together, I find these really easy numbers to add together because I know that a 2 in the ones column here and an 8 in the ones column here adds together to give me a full 10. So I can look at those two numbers, 2 plus 8 is 10, and then I've got another 10 here on the 18 and another 10 here on the 12, which gives me a total of 30 if we add those first two numbers together. And then I'm just dealing with the exact same numbers over here again because it's a rectangle. So 12 plus 18 gives me another 30. And then if we just add the 30 and the 30 together, that would give me a perimeter of, and I'm just going to write this off to the side here, 60 meters. All right. So that would be our most basic type of problem where we give you all four sides. Okay. Now, if we move on to the next question, this one gets a little bit more challenging, but not much. The reason this one's a little more challenging is because we don't have a rectangle. We don't have equal sides on the top and the bottom and equal sides on the left and the right. But we're still dealing with a quadrilateral, a four-sided figure here. And so all we have to do is add together the four side lengths that they give us. So I'm going to write P to represent perimeter equals. Now, when I'm adding this together, again, I want to look for complementary numbers or numbers that are easy to add together. And so I'm going to group my 5 and my 15 together just because those are easy numbers to add together. Okay, so 5 plus 15. And then, of course, the last two numbers here that we have to add don't fit together so well, but let's just throw them down here anyways. 18. Okay, plus 13 is our last number there. All right, so all we're doing is adding those four side lengths together. 5 plus 15 I know is 20. And then if we add 20 plus 18, that gives me 38. And then if we add 13 to that, 38, we'll add a 10 here, which would make it 48. And then we can add 3 to that. So 48 plus 3 is 51. 51. Okay. Now, one thing that you'll always want to be aware of, guys, is anytime you're dealing with any measurement, if they give you units in the problem, which they do, meters, means that we should also include the units in the answer as well. Okay. So the perimeter of this quadrilateral here is 51 meters. All right, so let's move on. Now this one gets a little bit more challenging, and this one's challenging because they are giving us, they give us some of the side lengths, but then they don't give us other side lengths. But in any problem that we're going to give you, we will definitely give you enough information that you can figure out the missing side lengths. So for example, we don't know what this side length, this straight side that goes up and down here on the left is, but they do give us enough information. I know that if I take this side length here, which is 4 centimeters, and then this side length here, 3 centimeters here, if we slide these one over top of the other, that's going to be the same length as my left side here. So I can just do a little bit of reasoning here to figure out that 4 centimeters plus 3 centimeters would give me a side length of 7 centimeters over here. Okay. Now we have the left side, we know the top side, we know the right side, and then 2 centimeters and 3 centimeters is this kind of little notch here. But again, we're missing the length of the bottom section here. But again, we know enough information. We know that the top here is 6 centimeters, which means that if we were to extend the bottom here all the way to the same length, this would be a total of 6 centimeters. But we know that there's 2 centimeters here notched out of it. So 6 minus 2 would give me a length of 4 centimeters here. Okay, so let's just grab an eraser and clean up my my scribbles here. Okay, so we now know every single one of the side lengths of this, and it's no longer a 4-sided figure. This is now a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-sided figure. But we can still figure out the perimeter because we know the basic principle. We just take all of the side lengths and add them together. So let's start doing that. I know that, well, 6 and 4 are good complementary numbers because if I add these together, that would give me 10. And I know that 7 and 3 are complementary numbers because if I add 7 and 3 together, that gives me another 10. And then all I'm left with is 2 and 4. And if we add those together, we get 6. So we've got 10, 20, 6. So the perimeter of this shape here is 26 centimeters. Again, don't forget to put your units in. Oops, it's going to be a kind of a squarish C because I made a little mistake there. 26 centimeters for a final answer. Okay, now if you're still finding that too easy, let's move on to the last example here. All right, so the last example looks a little different, and this is going to hit that second learning goal. Now, rather than calculating the perimeter, they've given us the perimeter in the problem. So it says, how long is one side length if the perimeter is 18 centimeters? So this is telling us that the entire distance around this 6-sided shape is 18 centimeters. So I'm going to write that number down, 18 centimeters. And they want us to calculate how long is one side length here. And again, we're going to use the letter S to represent that, okay? So in order to calculate this, we need to know one other piece of information, and that is how many side lengths are there? So we can count up. There's 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6 side lengths. And what this problem is asking us is it's saying that the whole distance around this 6-sided figure is 18, but we want to divide that. Yep, we're going to use that operation there. We want to divide those 18 centimeters into 6 equal side lengths. Okay, so we're taking our perimeter and dividing it by the number of sides that we have there. And if you know your division facts, we would know that 6 goes into 18 3 whole times. Okay, so that means that this side length is 3 centimeters, and this side length is 3 centimeters, and this side length is 3 centimeters. And if we put 3 all the way around and then added those back up, that would give us our total of 18 centimeters, okay? Oh, I'm almost correct here. Forgot my units in my answer, okay? So this is going to be a style of question that you're going to come across today as well. So just be familiar with that. That's all for today, guys. Tomorrow we're going to move on from perimeter, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about area